Hey guys, this is your host Thomas Tyree here from On the Hot Podcast. Today, this will be the Combat Series episode number 133 for you guys today. And to kick off the Combat Series this week, I'll be sharing my thoughts on the fight that took place yesterday in the sport of boxing between Naoya Inoue and David Picasso. This will be my fight summary on that junior featherweight championship fight. So yesterday in the sport of boxing, it was Naoya Inoue who defeated David Picasso by unanimous decision to retain his undisputed junior featherweight titles yesterday in the sport of boxing. So my thoughts on that fight: I scored the fight 12-0 in favor of Naoya Inoue, defeating David Picasso decisively by unanimous decision. Now yesterday, Naoya Inoue was not very confident in his performance against David Picasso and thought it was not a good performance. I strongly disagree, because whenever you have a 12-0 shutout victory like this in an undisputed championship fight, I think it's a stellar performance the way Naoya Inoue looked in the ring. He probably wanted the knockout victory to close out 2025. I know there was some hand wrapping issues and some hand wrapping drama before the fight where people backstage told Naoya Inoue, you cannot do the hand wrapping like this here in Saudi Arabia, like you can in Japan and other areas in the sport of boxing. But I still think it was an impressive performance by Naoya Inoue. He looked phenomenal in the ring for all 12 rounds. The power combinations were on display. He mixed in the jab. I think Naoya Inoue has one of the best jabs in the sport that any fighter has to offer today in the sport. The jab looked really good, and the feints he used to set up traps and open up the toolbox and the arsenal to land the power shots, land the jab at will. Naoya Inoue looked really good in this fight yesterday against David Picasso, and he started landing the strong body shots. You could tell as the rounds went on, David Picasso did not have his legs underneath him. He was moving around that box of the ring very gingerly. After the power shots, Naoya Inoue was landing downstairs to the body. Yesterday in his performance against David Picasso, I thought Naoya Inoue also fought well in different lateral movements. The good footwork was on display in the ring, and he won the counter-punching battle and took full control offensively in this fight against David Picasso. So again, I scored a 12-0 shutout in favor of Naoya Inoue. I disagree with his comments. I think he's very critical of himself because he's known for being one of the best in the sport. But I think he had a phenomenal performance, and his cardio looked top-notch. You could tell he took his training camp very seriously and looked like he could go another 12 rounds in that ring yesterday after his win against David Picasso. So, really strong performance by Naoya Inoue. I do want to give credit to David Picasso because he does deserve his credit for hanging around 12 rounds with a top 3 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport today in Naoya Inoue that has became undisputed in 2 different weight classes. But the fact that he hung in there for 12 rounds with someone that has an 84% knockout percentage, I know there's no moral victories in the sport, but he can look back and say, I hung in there for 12 rounds, one of the best that the sport has to offer, with a bloody nose, because Naoya Inoue was touching him up with the jab. He had a bloody nose and a busted up face and hung in there for 12 rounds. And I think the 12th round was actually his best round of the fight. I was debating to give that one to Naoya Inoue or not, but I scored a 12-0 in favor of Naoya Inoue. But that final round, he showed grit, determination, never quit. He was stunning Naoya Inoue with some power shots to the body and fighting in the inside very well. It just is levels to this game when you fight someone like Naoya Inoue that has the power, and I call him the modern day Manny Pacquiao, someone that has the physical skills, that's faster than you, stronger than you, has the better footwork, has the better boxing fundamentals. What can you really do in that ring? So David Picasso, he can hang his head high for hanging in there for 12 rounds, like I just said, and this could be a learning curve for him to get back and become a champion one day in this junior featherweight division, one day in the sport of boxing. But this victory right here for Naoya Inoue is pretty special for the calendar year 2025 because now he has a strong argument for being fighter of the year. I know Alexander Usyk became undisputed in the heavyweight division. I know Dmitry Bivol became undisputed at the light heavyweight division. I know Terrence Crawford became undisputed, defeating Canelo Alvarez at the super middleweight division. But Naoya Inoue has fought 4 times in the calendar year 2025. He's 4-0, and this is special for him because he is now the first person to do this in the last 42 years, go 4-0 and defend the Ring Magazine title 4 times in one calendar year since Larry Holmes did it 42 years ago. So that's a special, remarkable accomplishment by Naoya Inoue to accomplish this by the end of 2025. And now he has a strong reasoning why he could be named Fighter of the Year this year in the sport of boxing for going 4-0 and successfully retaining the Ring Magazine title 4 different times. And for those that don't know, you get the Ring Magazine title for being the best of the best in your respective weight class, in your respective division. So he's already undisputed at junior featherweight, and this is just another remarkable achievement by Inoue. Anyway, so to close out the segment, what's next for Inoue anyway? Now, we're looking at 2026. It's going to be a big year for Inoue anyway in 2026. It's going to start off with a bang for him because he's going to get in the ring against Nakatani, put his junior featherweight titles on the line against Nakatani. That's going to be moving up to junior featherweight from the bantamweight division in an undisputed championship fight. Now, this will be the biggest fight in Japan boxing history, but me personally, I don't know how I really feel about this fight. Now, to some, this is a fight between two top 10 pound-for-pound fighters. Now, I was one of those people that did not have Nakatani in my top 10 pound-for-pound list before the Terrence Crawford retirement, and I still, right now, don't believe he's a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter, especially in his performance, in his latest performance on the co-main event of this Naoya Inoue and David Picasso undercard, where a lot of people believe that Nakatani lost that fight and his championship title defenses at bantamweight. Now you're moving up to junior featherweight to fight Naoya Inoue, one of the best in the world. And I said his power has translated up and down weight classes. I call him the modern day Manny Pacquiao of this era. What do you think is going to happen when Nakatani gets in the ring against Naoya Inoue? His eye was already closed shut in his last performance yesterday in that boxing ring against Sebastian Hernandez. I just feel like Naoya Inoue, with the power, for him fighting in different lateral movements, mixing in the feints, the set up traps, the strong jab, the winning the counter punching battle. I think Naoya Inoue gets Nakatani out of there within 5 to 7 rounds. I don't think that's a good matchup for Nakatani. And me personally, in my own personal world, if Bam Rodriguez was already at this bantamweight division, I would love to see I would love to see Naoya Inoue fight Bam Rodriguez instead. But we're not going to get that next. So, again, when that fight happens, probably in May or June, that would be a special moment for Japan boxing between Naoya Inoue and Nakatani. But the way how Nakatani looked in there yesterday, I think Naoya Inoue gets him out of there within 5 to 7 rounds to have another successful undisputed championship title defense at the junior featherweight division. But that is my Naoya Inoue and David Picasso fight summary.